Well, and a lot of people are in the comment section right now, and we will read comments and super chats and everything that comes in are saying that, we're fine. Philly Eagle fan says we're screwed. Some people are saying compensatory picks next year don't win you football games this year. We have to accept the fact the defense will be slightly worse. But at the same time, as Josh just said, if you hit on 2 of your 5 draft picks this year, if 2 of your 5 draft picks can start for you instantly, you're also getting Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, who are basically free agents who barely played this past season, even Jordan Davis, who are going to take on a bigger role. The defense will be younger, but it's not to say it's going to be that much worse. And I agree. The offense is going to have to win you football games. And guess what? They should be able to. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that. But let me just give you my main reason why I'm confident Philadelphia winning a bunch of games this coming season. It's really, really obvious. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Let's look at the NFC conference going into 2023. Okay, the San Francisco 49ers, very big threat. They can't figure the quarterback spot out. Does anyone think the Minnesota Vikings are going to have a better year than the Eagles in 2023? Anybody in the chat right now? No. The Bucks, Kyle Trask is going to win you the NFC conference? No. Do you believe in Dak Prescott? No. Do you believe in Daniel Jones's $40+ million a year? No. Do you think Geno Smith was like the Giants do, and we will talk about that. Do you believe in the Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith, who just signed into a new deal, but also said that won't deter them from drafting a quarterback? No. Lions will be pretty good. Sure, I like the Detroit Lions. Are they winning the NFC conference? No. Is Sam Howell and the Commanders winning the NFC East? No. Is Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers going to win the I mean, come on. Like, where is the scary team on this list? Seriously, where is it? And if you want to say Derek Carr and the Saints, sure. But it's also Derek Carr and who? Alvin Kamara has a bunch of legal issues. Michael Thomas hates the organization. He's not going to be there, nor can he stay healthy. I mean, seriously, we can talk about how bad, quote unquote, the Eagles are going to be defensively, but how bad is this entire conference? I'm not saying the Eagles win 14 games this coming year. What about 12? What about 12? 12 wins the NFC East. 12 gets you a home playoff game. 12 makes you the 2 seed or the 3 seed. I mean, can we not expect them to go back to that point? I think so. And that's a 2-game difference in terms of the loss column from where they were this year, which a lot of people are saying is a reality. I just don't believe in the NFC East or the NFC conference as a whole to think that, you lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Javon Hargrave, we're going to win 9 games. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm with you. We've talked about it before. And
Jackson Smith and Jiba at 30, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, Smitty in the slot. I like that any other year but this year because we don't have enough picks to be spending on first-round wide receivers. We had 10 picks, sure. But we don't need a receiver, at least a receiver 3, that bad to take a guy like Smith and Jiba, who's a beast. But
yeah, we don't have the luxury for that, nor do we have the luxury for Bijan Robinson either. So I know that's something that continues to be brought up.
Don't say that,
what
Josh.
Should we do? But
no,
there's not. Let's face it. If you want reality, there's not the luxury to get Bijan Robinson. Even if you trade back, even if you get multiple draft picks, I don't think you have the luxury this year to do something like that.
You can't say that because we want Bijan Robinson. Every Eagle fan no, don't say that. Although you're right. Whenever people ask me about Bijan Robinson, it's a very simple response. Have you ever seen Howie Roseman make a pick like that? Ever?
Nope.
A pick where it was like, here's this flashy superstar potential, game-breaking skill player, and the Eagles take him in the first round. Yep. Besides Devontae Smith at 10. Which was probably the most, not shocking because they needed a receiver, but one of the most shocking moves that Howie Roseman has made when there were all these pass rushers and all these offensive linemen. Like, he doesn't do it ever.
Right.
And so unless he wants to just go like, hey, here's my playbook for winning championships the last 20 years. I've been to 3 or 2 Super Bowls during that time, the Eagles have, but, he's been to 2 now during his time. Let's just throw that out of here and take Bijan Robinson. That's why I don't think that they are going to do it because Howie would have to be, on some sort of a legal substance to actually make that pick on draft night. Because if you know Howie Roseman, he's not going to do that. Yeah. At all.
No, he's not. You can guarantee that. So if you're talking about other bets to be made, there you go. He's not going to do it.
Dank Burrito says they can get a quality back in the second round. Exactly. And that's why you wouldn't, right? That's why you wouldn't.
Yep.
Quarterbacks averaged a 139 rating against Epps, which is terrible. He has 10% missed tackle rate, which is also terrible. I agree with that, but if you're desperate like we're going to be, you might need to take somebody who you at least know in the organization. I know Brian Branch from Alabama's name gets thrown around a bunch. Safety at 10 is weird to me, though. Like, he's got to be it's Minka Fitzpatrick type level. And I don't know if Brian Branch is Minka Fitzpatrick level. You know, if they trade back to 17 and take Brian Branch would make more sense. But they had a chance to take that safety out of Notre Dame last year, and they didn't. And he wasn't that good year one for the Baltimore Ravens. Kyle Hamilton, I think, was his name. I just don't know of how he values safeties that much. And he's proven it time and time again by not re-signing Brian Dawkins or giving him a long-term deal, by not, keeping Malcolm Jenkins, and by not keeping CJ Gardner-Johnson. You have to look at the history of the man running the Eagles, and he doesn't like running backs. He takes defensive linemen and offensive linemen early in drafts, and he doesn't re-sign safeties. That's what he does.
Yep. It's one in the trenches. I mean, for someone, he does do things unexpected. I'll give him that, but he's got a formula that works, and it's win in the trenches. So it's offensive line, defensive line. That's where I think that we're going to get the draft. I would love to see. I don't even know, and I really would hope that this is the case. But if at 10 he says, you know what, we're not trading back, we're going to select someone, I think that there's going to be a top corner available, whether it's Christian Gonzalez or Joey Porter, Devon Witherspoon. I would love to see him make that selection. But again, we know the guy, and I'm leaning towards it probably would be on the D-line. Not that you have bad options there, but I just feel like you could wait until 30, and I feel like your return on defensive lineman is much better or okay to be like, oh, let's get our D lineman at 30 versus cornerback. I think those top 3 are going to go before 30, and then you're like, well, okay, we didn't get the top 3 cornerbacks, so now who are we left with?
Someone just said, what substance was Howie on when he drafted Rager? That's a great point. I don't know, but it was awful, and I would never take whatever he took. That's a good point. I forgot about the Rager pick. Besides the Rager pick.
That was a big mistake.
Yeah, goodness gracious. Let's see. What are we looking at here? Eagles want to make number 0 a legal NFL number. This is a sign they want Christian Gonzalez. There you go. You could really put your tinfoil hat on there. That's pretty good. I can't decide on the top 3 corners, Christian Gonzalez, Devon Witherspoon, or Joey Porter Jr. I think Twitter can't decide either. Each week, one of them is like the best out of all of them. This week, it's Christian Gonzalez. Last week, it was Joey Porter. The week before, it was Devon Witherspoon. I think it's going to be similar to the Devontae Smith draft, where you have all these great wide receivers, and any of them are going to be good. You'd like Jalen Waddle. You'd like Devontae Smith. Take your pick. This just seems like a great time to be needing a cornerback when you're in the top 10 of the NFL draft. They all seem fine.
Yep. I think as long as you get one of those 3, which is why, again, I would advocate for take them at 10, or if you can trade back, sure, 15, 16, 17. I don't know who might want to trade up at that point, but if you can get maybe multiple draft selections, one of them would still probably be available at that point. But any later than that, I think you're trading out of the spot, and then they're not available. So it'll be curious to see, but I'm with you. It's been flip-flop on who's the best out of those 3 every single week. And obviously with Christian Gonzalez jumping out of the gym and his time, I mean, he was phenomenal in the combine measurables. So that always gets extra hype. But obviously they're going to do their due diligence on tape and everything else. So I think probably Christian Gonzalez is the leader in the clubhouse at this point, but lots of time to go. So we'll see. We'll see who ends up moving up.
Let's start Ramos's chat here. I like this one too much not to throw it up on the screen. How far do you think Jalen Carter will fall? A lot of mock drafts, I think McShay's have him at 12 to the Texans.
He did, yeah.
Right? If he falls anywhere near Philadelphia, and we talked about this last week, and the character checks out, which Howie Roseman will do his due diligence, you really think Howie Roseman passes on Jalen Carter? No. I don't think he'll be there at 10. I think that he's going to get cleared of all this stuff. That's just a guess. I have no inside knowledge. But if he does, I don't see him getting to us at 10. But if you're telling me Howie Roseman has a chance to take his favorite position of all time, which is defensive line, or a corner, which he hasn't taken in the first round since Lito Shepherd, then let's just, again, you got to go tendencies.
That's a pretty easy pick. We are one of the
few organizations that have had the same GM forever, and he does the same thing every single year, and yet people are like, oh, but will he take Bijan at number 10? I think so. What are we doing?
Yeah, he's definitely not going to do that.
It's crazy.
I think it's for sure going to be, it could be defense, or if it's an offensive position, it'll be O-line. As boring of a pick as that would be my guess. If you're not going to go defense, it's going to be a crazy, hey, you know what, let's pick another O-lineman. But yeah, you're looking at it. I'm with you. I don't think that Jalen Carter is going to fall to 10. Who knows? Obviously, there's still more investigating, reporting, figuring out what's going on. But yeah, right now his current draft stock is having him fall. But I'd be shocked. I mean, just football ability alone. And again, I know there's a lot of other off-field stuff that you have to make sure and figure out before you pick him. But if it's all cleared up, I mean, he's back to the, either 1 or 2, I think. So if you got him fall to you at 10, I mean, you've hit the lottery and some.
Someone just asked, let's see, the questions are really good right now. Andrew B, who are your choices out of the top 10? I think that we can, let's see, hang on. Let me just get this on my screen. Let's give our rankings for defensive players. Well, let's give our rankings for non-quarterback players inside the top 10 right now, because I think we're going to be very similar. Again, non-quarterbacks, because quarterbacks are going to go very high, just based on who we think is going to be the best NFL player. I think we all agree. And here, I'll go first. Will Anderson is one. I think he's a difference-making edge rusher, which is obviously what everyone wants in the National Football League. I think that you get all the way down, I got to find him. But I do think the next best player in this draft is Jalen Carter. And I think you could swap them, 1A, 1B. I think they're both really, really good. After those, then it gets a little bit interesting. But I would say Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher from Texas Tech, is number 3. I actually talked to a scout that I know yesterday, and I asked him who's the best player in this draft. He said Tyree Wilson. He said he's seen things from Tyree Wilson he hasn't seen from, a pass rusher in a very, very long time. I believe the guy. Do with that as you will. So those would be my top 3 right now. I think you've got to put Anderson 1 because he comes from Alabama, Carter 2 because he comes from Georgia, and Wilson goes 3 because he was at Texas Tech. Not that matters, but still, we're both Big 12 boys here who went to Baylor, but still. After that, then you got to rank the cornerbacks, whether it's Gonzalez, whether it's Joey Porter Jr., whether it's blanking on Witherspoon. Mm-hmm. Those to me would kind of be, your top 5, insert your cornerbacks. And then you start getting to offensive linemen. You start getting to maybe another defensive lineman. A lot of people love Kalijah Cansey. I am curious to see how high he goes. I remember I saw you did a show on him there. And then you get to skill players. So I think the pass rushers are always going to be number 1. And they just have been for forever. It's just how it works.
Yep. Because you don't exactly, and I guess, you never know for sure with what you're getting in the draft. But I'd be curious on this. This is just me spitballing here, so I could be way off. But I'd be curious to know the percentages on how often does, a big supposed, prospect come out as a defensive lineman and not hit versus a quarterback. It seems like the quarterbacks that teams risk on is like, oh, they're a dud. Okay, that didn't work out. So, and usually you have to trade more to get those players. So D linemen, I don't know. It seems like, I could be totally off, but it seems like the college success that they had transitions a lot better, and scouts are maybe able to hit on them more so of, hey, yes, they will transition to the league. But it'll be curious to see. I'm unsurprisingly not any differences. I think you could, with the off the field stuff, if you take that out, you could say Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, 1 or 2. I think you could flip those, but probably, Will Anderson, number 1. I don't think that any of the quarterbacks are worthy of, in my opinion, of the top 3 picks, but I think that you're going to have someone trade up and going to get them at number 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see that happen for sure. But in terms of just skill set, I love Tyree Wilson. I know you were looking at him a second ago, but the wingspan, I mean, that's insane. 7'2". He's basically got the wingspan of Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I mean, you get that on your football. That's nuts. And I didn't even realize that, but he's even in the Big 12. But then whenever they mentioned in his wingspan and getting the measurables, I'm like, that is a beast.
Let's do one more thing here with the draft, and I'll answer some more questions. You mentioned the quarterbacks. I'm going to emphasize this in a show later on this week because I think there's something in this draft called the Anthony Richardson effect, which is going to change the entire top 10. But you have to realize how fortunate Philadelphia is to be as close to the top as possible, because you're going to see 4 quarterbacks most likely go inside the top 10. 3 are guaranteed. There's a chance for Levis to come in and be number 4. And that means that Philadelphia gets one of the top 6 non-quarterback best players available, right? Bryce Young is going to go 1, whether he's a Colt, whether he's a Texan, whether he is a Bear because they lied to us about trading the draft pick, whether he's somebody else, he will go 1. Then you have this.
Which I wouldn't take him, by the way, just to put that out there.
As in, he's not the best quarterback in the draft?
I don't believe it. If I was going to take a quarterback, I wouldn't take him first. I think I agree with you. I think that he will go first off the board. I wouldn't take him.
Okay, hang on. GM Josh Davis, you need a quarterback. Which one are you taking in this draft?
If I'm taking one, I'm probably there's a huge pull to say Anthony Richardson, but I don't think so. He's an athletic freak, but yeah. I don't think that he's going to transition well with the accuracy. I know you could say Josh Allen, that was his argument, and look how that's panned out. But I would go with CJ Stroud. That's probably the boring pick, but I don't hate with his pro day and how he performed. I guess he's got a pro day coming up, but with how he performed in the combine for the passing drills, I think that he could transition better. That would be, I would feel a lot more comfortable about Bryce Young. I know he's an incredible player, but I'm sorry, the argument to be made about size, I know there's some success, but it seems like a lot less often with someone of his size. So that would just be my take.
I don't hate it. I would still take Bryce Young first. But what C.J. Stroud did in the Georgia game, you can make the argument he should have won that game against the closest thing to an NFL defense was pretty darn impressive. So look, there you go. There's 2 for sure. Someone is going to come between 3 and 5 and take Anthony Richardson. Vegas does it in McShay's mock draft here. You see the trade with Chicago if they already moved down. There's 3 quarterbacks, and then you have a very interesting 5.
You got another
through
Jamarcus
9.
Russell for the Raiders.
Exactly. There you go. It could be. But then you have Levis here at 9. So there you go. Yep. 4 quarterbacks off the board. Philadelphia would have their pick of the lot. And if Chicago takes an offensive tackle and Christian Gonzalez has gone here and Tyree Wilson are gone, then you're looking at the 4th best player in the entire draft to Philadelphia. I mean, we're talking about a chance to get an absolute stud superstar because of the quarterback drama that's happening right now. And it happens every year. Someone's going to move up. And I think Anthony Richardson looks too much like Josh Allen with Lamar Jackson speed for one GM to turn it down. Whether he turns out to be great or not, I don't know. But that literally is something to look forward to with Philadelphia. You're not picking 16th. You're not getting the 10th best player in this draft. It's not a quarterback. You're getting one of the top 5, one of the top 5 players in this draft, which is insane for people that keep complaining, oh, well, we're losing all these guys. Yes, we are losing all these players. But what if you replace Javon Hargrave, who's going to make $23 million a year when he signs a new contract with Detroit this offseason or Philadelphia? What if you replace him with Jalen Carter, who's making pennies on the dollar for that deal for the next 4 seasons? You put him next to Jordan Davis. It's like, wait a second. Is our defensive line better than it was last year? Maybe. It's not much worse.
Could very well be.
And it's way cheaper.
Yep.
I mean, I get the doom and gloom this week. I really do. It stinks. I like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I like a really solid safety who puts his head down in holes, who gets interceptions. When was the last time an Eagle player get 6 interceptions in an entire season? Plus, he missed a bunch of games to lacerate a kidney. You know, it's a Malcolm Jenkins style. It's the Brian Doc. I love it. But the idea that you lose him and we're going to be trash next year is something that I am desperately fighting against in the comment section because people went nuts this week and it seems a little too overreactive. The idea that Howie Roseman is now shocked. He's like, oh no, I'm losing all these players. How? And what are we going to do? It's like, oh my goodness, there's just no chance.